Good morning. I don't know if it is a good morning, if I'm honest. It's a hay fevery morning. I feel like I've been assaulted everywhere. It's in my eyes, it's in my nose, it's in my throat, it's in my ears, it's in my head, it's in my joints. I literally feel. I woke up this morning. So when you get to a certain age, if you have even the sniff of a glass of rosé, you sort of wake up the next morning going, oh, what happened last night? You could have had literally a teaspoon. It disrupts your sleep. You have to wake up and go for a wee. It makes you sweat. It's just hideous. Alcohol and the menopausal woman, they not be friends. And I woke up this morning thinking, oh my God, what did I do last night? How did I get to this stage? And I was like, oh, no. It's hay fever. It has. I mean, it's literally made me feel like I've been hit by the fuzzy bus. I haven't. I'm going to take a Piriton because I've got to get on because I am mother. Cannot be the Easter holidays and be poorly or hay fevery. No, I need to drop everything at 45 seconds notice to take children to different parts of postcode at the same time in one car that doesn't work so that they can fulfill their social needs. Of course, nobody else got the holiday memo in the Easter holidays. They got the holiday memo. I got the you will work harder than you've ever worked in your normal life so that you can facilitate their needs. It's a little bit of a bugbear today, as you can probably tell. Anyway, digressing. George Trafgarn, that's the dyslexia in me, the letter's the wrong way around, wrote a very good article in the Telegraph about where we're at with VAT on education. And he is very succinct and says it how it is. And basically he has said the government isn't a muddle. And I think that's exactly how we would describe the government, full stop, not just with VAT on education, but full stop, we're in a muddle. But this is a big one, because this is one that if they lose, they face humiliation, basically, particularly with Sir Keir Starmer, ex-barrister, at the helm, which, you know, even if they win, there is still a massive dose of humiliation to come because of the way they've done it. So the first court case was closed within 3 days. Everybody went off to go and have a think about it, and then the government went, oh no, hang on, actually no, you know that bit of evidence that you've used that's been widely available for anyone to read, that's been on the internet, and we've actually cited it so that we can back up how bad Send is, and we will blame it on the Tories, but we'll use the National Audit Office report to tell everybody that wants to listen that the Send system is in crisis. That bit of information, they've gone, actually no, I'm not sure we do want to use that. I don't think that's really very helpful. So despite the fact that the case had closed, that went back to the Supreme Court, the High Court, and the High Court have now had to decide whether that can be used or can't be used, even though that you and I know exactly what it says. We've all heard it, we know it, but are we allowed to know it? I mean, I don't know if they're going to come around with rubber and just erase it from all of our memories. You did not hear that. Send system is good. Send system is not good. And we don't need, to be fair, a report to tell us that it's not good. We could just listen to anyone that's ever tried to use the Send system, and they would tell us very loudly, which they are, whilst going to court, that it is broken. So whilst they're doing that, costing the taxpayer loads and loads and loads of money, because of course you're funding this, I'm funding this, even though we didn't agree to fund it, we are still funding it. So the judges are off having a little think about that, and George is writing about it in the Telegraph. Have a look. I'll put a link in the comment section to the article. It's brilliant. But the bit, you know, he says, suddenly it feels like the government is twisting and turning. It's apparently now trying to argue ludicrously that things are not that bad in the special needs provision. We've discussed. But the bit at the end, which I think is the bit that I'm not rubbing my hands with glee. Well, I'll read it first and then we'll talk about it. So, this case could yet provide a historic defeat to a government which usually champions the principle of upholding human rights. Either way, Sir Keir Starmer, Rachel Reeves and Bridget Phillipson are already squirming in front of our eyes at the mess they have made. And that is cutting. That is really cutting, and it is true. They have made a mess. And I could be rubbing my hands with glee and going, see, told you so. But actually, it makes me really sad. It makes me really sad that whatever the outcome of this court case, children have had their education disrupted. And these three people were told every step of the way that they would have their education disrupted. The state system has been disrupted because of the private system's disruption. And yet they tell us that this whole thing was to be the saviour of state, even though they were told it wouldn't be. And the lengths that they will go to prove their political point. Children aren't political pawns. They are not up for experiment. I've said it before. Anita Roddick got rid of it in the Body Shop with animal testing. But yet Bridget Phillipson has introduced it with Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer for child testing. Now, how is that right? And they try to squirm out of it with legalities. See if you can prove that point. Oh, just literally pull a hole in it. You know, we talked again about more holes in my colander. They are trying through any devious means possible to discredit the claimant's true story of their own lived experience of how their children have been and will be impacted by this policy and negatively impacted. And I give you, you know, there's a lot of chat about, well, we want all the kids from private schools to go into the poor schools so that they can move the standards up. Well, let's have a look at all the schools that Keir Starmer, Rachel Reeves and Bridget Phillipson's children go to. You can Google that. You try and work out where they've gone. And I can tell you right now, they did not go to a school that was Ofsted poor or needing work. They went to the Ofsted outstanding schools. So where did their children get experimented on? Where did their children get used to boost these high and rising standards? That's right, they didn't. It's all right for your kids, but it's not all right for their kids. As we know, Keir Starmer's son wasn't allowed to have his revision interrupted. Keir Starmer he made a choice to run for Prime Minister. And as a consequence of that choice, there were journalists who wanted to write stories about him, ask him questions. And because he felt that that would be impactful of his son's revision, which, by the way, the journalists refute, but because he felt that, he moved his son to a Grace and Favour flat so that he could revise. He had the means and the ability to do that. But your child is being used as a social experiment. And that is unacceptable. It's unacceptable for animals. Why in the name of God is it acceptable for kids? And why are we supporting a government who will test on children? I won't. Would you? No. And it doesn't matter what sector you're in, because they're testing on children in state and they're testing on children in private. It's all children. That's the only time the definition of all children can be used by Bridget Phillipson, because she is disadvantaging all children with the outcome of this policy. But she says the exact opposite, and she's finding any which way and how with Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer to get out of the mess that they've got into. So whilst I could rub my hands with glee, and it is a brilliant article, but it makes me very sad that we've got to this position. And I do think, have a read, you know. And also, Bridget, Keir, read the comments. We've said again, you know, get your VR headset off where you see the world in a very different way to us. Read the comments on my channel. You know, they're going through the roof. They're really eloquent comments about lived experience, about what their children have had to face, what they had to face, what they are going through as parents, as members of society that you say you're benefiting. Well, read the real life stories. They tell a very, very different story. And before you say, oh, it's your echo chamber, which, as we all know, is a phrase that I hate because it derides somebody just having a passion point. But there are comments on there that disagree. There are comments that say, you know, well, I don't think it's bad in principle. But then by the time it's been debated, they're like, yeah, no, that doesn't work, does it? Because it is testing on kids. So read the comments. Before we go, I must just show you this. So I was bought this for Mother's Day, but by the other half, not by the kids. And what I'm supposed to do is, and tea will come. Can I just say to the producers of this, if you are selling it in the market of the 50-somethings for men, could you please put a hearing aid in the box as well? Because this only works if they can hear it. And I keep banging it and banging it and banging it. I know it works, but he apparently can't hear it. Now that's either selective hearing or it would really benefit from a hearing aid in the box. But other than that, I mean, it's lovely. It looks pretty. Something else to dust. But a hearing aid would be helpful with it. Thank you.